Hi, welcome to Story Lab. This week, we're diving into a piece of God's story that starts in a dark place, but ends on a very sweet note. Oh, and I can't forget to say,
Happy Easter!
Edwin,
Oh my, what a mess.
you can't sneak up on people like that.
My apologies. I see my precipitous entrance has precipitated a catastrophe of epic proportions. I blame gravity.
Well, I blame you, Edwin. That was my grandmother's...
Easter. Yay!
Hey, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Wyatt.
We're talking about how we can have joy because Jesus is alive.
Yes. Okay, this is an amazing day, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not feeling it at the moment.
Jelly bean?
I know it's just a bowl, but my grandma gave this to me, and I'm a little disappointed.
Just glue the pieces.
But it won't be the same.
Yes, my young friend. Not the same. But your broken bowl can be even better.
And how is that, Edwin?
The art of kintsugi.
Bless you.
No, I did not sternutate.
Huh?
That's sneeze in the vernacular. I was referring to the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi.
Ooh, where they use the gold paint?
Well, originally, pure gold dust was utilized, or aurum in the Latin.
Okay, time out. I still have no idea what we're talking about here.
Kintsugi. I've seen it before. You glue the broken pieces together.
And then you highlight the cracks with a fine gold powder, like so. Please take a look.
Oh, that's actually kind of beautiful. Do you think my bowl could look like that?
Indubitably.
But in the meantime, we've got a story about how every broken thing will one day be made right.
I guess that means it's time for...
Wow. Fascinating. Huh. Oh, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Allgood. I tell the stories of people and places and animals, the stories that make us who we are.
Oh, yes. Greetings, Doctor. Me and my friends, were hoping that you would tell us the story of Easter today.
Oh, yes, Edwin, this story, more than any other story, has shaped us. In fact, it has shaped all time and eternity. This story, as told in John chapters 18 through 20, will take us through the very worst day into the very best day in history. See, Jesus had entered Jerusalem to the cheers of crowds.
Yay!
But through the following week, as the religious leaders confronted Jesus again and again, the situation became tense. Then Judas, one of Jesus' closest friends, made a plan to hand Jesus over to the religious leaders.
Terrible. Preposterous. That Judas.
Jesus knew all about this when he shared the Passover meal with his friends on Thursday evening. He washed their feet and he promised that he was going away, but would make a special place for them with God. Peter told Jesus that he would follow him anywhere.
And that's when Jesus said, "Before the rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you do not know me."
Yeah. After dinner, Jesus led his friends out of the city and across the valley to a quiet garden where they often went to pray. Now, remember Judas and his plan to betray Jesus?
Oh, yes, who could forget, right, Calvin? That Judas.
Well, Judas knew all about the garden, and soon he led a group of soldiers and officials straight to Jesus. Now, when the soldiers said that they were looking for Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus looked right at them and said, "I am he." And you know what happened? All the soldiers and officials fell to the ground.
Yes, Jesus was sharing that he is God. The truth so powerful it knocked the soldiers down like this. "I am he."
Yes, but even so, Jesus allowed the soldiers to arrest him. They tied him up and took him to Annas, the father-in-law of the high priest. The religious leaders didn't have any evidence against Jesus, so they resorted to lies.
Ooh, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Now, Peter had trailed behind to see what would happen to Jesus. But as you can imagine, he was petrified that they might take him too. So when a servant girl asked, "Hey, are you one of Jesus' disciples?" Peter said, "No."
Despicable! How could he do such a thing? You'd never do anything like that to me, would you, Calvin? No, because Calvin's a good boy.
Well, Peter was afraid. In fact, 3 times Peter was asked if he was a friend of Jesus, and 3 times Peter was too scared to say yes in that moment.
Yes, and then the rooster. A rooster crowed, just like Jesus said it would.
You can imagine how awful Peter felt, but he couldn't do a thing to stop what was happening. Now, Annas sent Jesus on to Caiaphas, the high priest, but the religious leaders wanted Jesus gone for good. They didn't have the power to have him killed, but the Romans did. So Caiaphas sent Jesus on to the Roman governor, Pilate.
What kind of a boat or a plane did the man pilot, pray tell?
Well, he wasn't a pilot of a ship. The governor's name was Pilate. By this time, it was early Friday morning. Pilate questioned Jesus, but he could find no reason to bring a charge against Jesus. Still, to satisfy the crowd, he had Jesus whipped and humiliated. Once more, Pilate tried to free Jesus, but the crowd called out, "Crucify him."
Less than a week before, the crowds were greeting Jesus as a king.
No, yes, but Pilate was afraid of losing control or even losing his position. So Pilate gave in and handed Jesus over. And soldiers forced Jesus to carry a heavy cross through the streets and outside the city to a hill called Golgotha, or the skull. And there, they nailed Jesus to a cross. Jesus was raised up between 2 criminals, but even in the midst of his own pain and suffering, Jesus was looking out for others. He saw his mother standing nearby and asked his friend John to take care of her.
Jesus is God's son, though, so surely he could have ended all of these horrible things. He could have just called down angels to save him and to wipe out all those soldiers.
Yeah, it's true. Jesus could have stopped it all, but he didn't. He chose to endure the pain. And at last, he cried out, "It is finished." And then he bowed his head and he died.
What an awful, terrible feeling. Like nothing good could ever happen again.
It was truly the darkest moment this world has ever known. The light of the world, gone. Now, a follower of Jesus named Joseph of Arimathea, along with Nicodemus, wrapped Jesus' body in strips of linen and spices. They laid it in a nearby garden tomb, and then a heavy stone was rolled across the entrance into the tomb. Then deep night set in.
What on earth were all of Jesus' friends thinking? It must have been such a horrible time.
Jesus' friends were devastated and confused. With Jesus gone, did anything that he said and taught still matter? Would they be arrested next? Since Jewish people rested on the Sabbath, they stayed away from the tomb that day. But early Sunday morning, Jesus' friend Mary Magdalene came to the garden with more spices for Jesus' body. But when she got near the tomb, she saw that the heavy stone had been rolled away from the entrance and the tomb was empty. So, in shock, Mary Magdalene ran to tell Peter and John that Jesus' body had been taken. So they raced to the garden ahead of her. Everything was just as Mary told them. Confused, Peter and John left, but Mary Magdalene stayed behind, heartbroken and weeping. But as she looked into the tomb again, Mary Magdalene saw 2 angels.
Oh my.
Mary turned away and found someone standing there, the gardener perhaps. But then he said her name. In that moment, Mary Magdalene understood. It was Jesus, alive and whole.
Why, it must have been like Christmas morning and your birthday and summer vacation all rolled into one.
Yes, just like that and a million times more amazing. It was a promise that everything wrong would be made right, that light had defeated darkness. Now, as you can imagine, Mary ran back to the other disciples, laughing and crying and so filled with joy, she could hardly get the words out. "I have seen the Lord."
What an incredible story. The end.
Or maybe we should say the beginning. For all of us, the most important thing to remember is this: you can have joy because Jesus is alive. See, the story of Easter is the central point of God's rescue plan. Since people first sinned and turned away from God in Eden, God had promised that he would restore people to close relationship with him, that he would send a rescuer.
And that rescuer was and is Jesus.
Jesus chose to come and live among us as a human being. And then he chose to give up his right as God to experience all of the beautiful and difficult and painful parts of being human.
Yes, it just boggles the mind.
Remember, Jesus didn't sin, not once. And then he gave up his life for us. Because he never did anything wrong, he was able to take on our sin and brokenness. With his own life, he paid for all of the wrong things anyone has ever done or will do.
Yes, but he did not stay dead.
That's right. And when he returned to life, he proved once and for all that he has defeated the power of death. So when you believe in Jesus and follow him, you get to be close friends with God again.
And you get to live forever, past death, with God.
That is some serious reason for joy. So, happy Easter, everyone.
So here's the thing. You can have joy because Jesus is alive.
And because broken things can be made beautiful again. Okay, just this one last piece. What do we think?
It's amazing how the cracks are the part that really shines.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, precisely how Jesus enters into our brokenness and puts us back together again, allowing his light to shine effervescently through the cracks.
You know what, Edwin? That's some gold right there.
Yes, and I believe you can make the gold even brighter by polishing it with the tooth of a sea bream.
Is that actually a thing?
Yes.
Thanks for joining us in the Story Lab. See you next time.